Hello everyone, and welcome to Star Trek Babylon, a Star Trek Adventures 2nd Edition game using the rules by Modifius Entertainment. My name is ELH the Game Master, and joining me are four lovely individuals who'll meet right away because I'm interested to get to our Anomaly of the Week, and I think this will be a fun one if you've already seen the social spam that I did to perhaps lead you here if you're watching this live. So we'll start at the top with Eschatologist. Eschatologist, anything you want to shout out and who you playing?
I am playing Captain Corin Runa, the very proud young commanding officer of U.S.S. Babylon.
All right. That gray guy, what do you got going on?
Hey folks, great guy. I play Lieutenant Commander Jack Manetti, your friendly neighborhood complication magnet.
And next we have Karaticus. Oh, did we lose Karaticus?
Hello, I'm here. Sorry. I will be playing Lieutenant Commander Grak, Lieutenant Grak, who is the Chief Medical Officer of the Babylon, a Klingon raised by Bajorans.
Very nice. And last but not least, the Drew.
Yes, I'll be playing Lieutenant Commander Brendak, our friendly Ferengi chief engineer, who, inspired by the great Negus Rom, has decided to enlist in Starfleet and prove his worth beyond just a swindling salesman, though that does occasionally happen on the side.
I mean, I would expect nothing less. All right, let's run the intro vid and then we'll get started. And welcome back. So, as is tradition for all my Star Trek Adventures games, I have the players do an opening log, and I believe, Mr. Grok, you have that honor today, so please take it away.
CMO's log, supplemental. I've just wrapped up another round of conversations with the captain. Again, I've been told to simply be patient, perhaps until Tuesday, while we still lack a formally assigned counselor. It's become all too familiar. Several crew members are still reeling from the emotional fallout of our last mission, and despite my best efforts, I'm stretched too thin to give them the proper care they desperately need. On a related note, I've just concluded a thorough physical on Ambassador Tiriv, our visiting Vulcan envoy. She's determined to prove she's in peak condition for an important negotiation on Mary 3. Interestingly, her reported symptoms of headaches and shortness of breath seem less a sign of physical ailment and more the result of anxiety. It's quite unusual. A Vulcan grappling with unchecked emotions is something I've never thought I'd have to document. It appears even the most disciplined can have their moments of vulnerability. I continue to navigate the delicate balance between duty and the unforeseen complexities of our lives aboard this ship. As the crew faces these trials, I remain committed to patching the gaps, both medically and emotionally, despite the bureaucratic challenges that impede us.
All right. And you may have one momentum for that opening log, which combined with momentum you just got from chat brings you up to 2 for the start of this session. So, where we will begin is actually somewhere in a transporter room. You can take your pick of which. But Rendak, you're in there, and you're in with the transporter chief. and whoever else wants to be in the scene, really. But Rendak, try as you might, you cannot get any of the transporters working on the Babylon today. The Heisenberg compensators are not staying aligned. The actual coils used for the transport process become unpolarized every time you look away. And if that wasn't bad enough, the advanced crew holograms on the Babylon are also on the fritz. So, average Monday.
Of course. This is the third transporter room, and I can't get it to work. So frustrating.
But I think the transporter chief just kind of looks at you and goes, "So, who wants to tell the captain? Because I don't."
It's not your job to tell the captain. It's my job.
Oh, good. I'm glad that was
you.
much easier than I thought it would be.
Well, Chief, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm head of engineering, so don't worry, because as humans like to say, shit rolls downhill. And he is going to actually go in person to deliver the message because there's too much going wrong for it. He feels like an over the comms communication. So
Okay.
he will head to the turbo lift and pray to the great material continuum that it fucking takes him to the bridge.
All right. Well, I mean, Corin, I think after a few moments, you're either in your bridge or your ready room, and Rendak materializes from a turbo lift.
Captain, I need to speak with you.
Certainly. Mr. Connery, you take the con?
Of course, I'm sure it's something wrong with the ship again. I don't know why we have a Ferengi in charge, but whatever. It's probably not because he's got latinum stored everywhere.
Renette kind of looks at the XO. Well, it's better than having all that food you got stored everywhere, chubby boy.
And I think
Anywho.
there's that moment where the XO just kind of looks at you and then does a very subtle nod to say yes, he understands.
Anywho, he's going to turn to Kevin. I'm in the third transporter room, and they're not functioning. Also, the holographic crew is completely on the fritz, and every time I fix it, a new problem starts. It's starting to look a little too much like a pattern to be a maintenance issue, as it were. Suggest we notify the crew and be on our toes.
Okay. Quick question to the GM.
Mm-hmm.
Am I right in thinking that, like, before our first mission, we had just launched from a dry dock? Like, we had just come out of a refit phase?
That is correct.
And we'd done the shakedown and all that?
You have.
We're too quickly out of space dock for this to be some kind of random series of wear and tear malfunctions. Keep your crews working, trying to patch the problems as they arise, but I want to start an investigation trying to find the root of these issues. Something is amiss here, and we need to get ahead of it before we get any further behind.
Well, especially considering that we're hauling a diplomat, and if the transporters don't work, it's gonna be a little embarrassing for us and her. I think it was a her,
Yes.
right? Does I remember right?
Yeah, she was a she.
Okay. Well, listen, I'm doing my best. I'm gonna need a little help here. I don't suppose I could borrow Commander Minetti, could I?
I believe Mr. Minetti can be spared. Any personnel with engineering training or certification who has the time for apart from their regular duties can be conscripted if need be.
Understood. Hey, Jack, ready to do some problem solving?
I'd also like you to loop in Lieutenant Commander Satres to make sure that we're covering the security implications of this many unforeseen system failures.
Well, as the saying goes, sir, situation normal, all fucked up.
I, I
That's the problem.
I think I have a talent that's going to help me here.
Yeah, you might. I know your ship. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would like to begin investigating, like as the chief engineer, which I assume is the next step.
Yep. So, Rendak, I'd like you to roll me a reason and engineering. And as a reminder, your first assist is free, so this could be Cites, this could be Minetti,
Okay.
this could be the ship. And then if you want extra assistance, it's 1 momentum or 1 threat per assist. But the difficulty on this is a 2.
Okay. I'd like to use I know my ship. I would also like to argue diagnostics for my focus.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, if Minetti wants to assist, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I can try.
Yeah, you'll assist with your own reason engineering, and as a reminder, it's 1 die and an assist.
Okay. One test.
I'm going to use a momentum for did the reading, so I can use science instead
Okay.
Nice.
because I'm a big old nerd.
Oh, I can. The first D20 I purchase is free because
Yep.
if I know my ship, so I can roll 3. Noise.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can build some momentum. Right, here we go.
In before, okay, no 20s, that's good. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
2 successes. I'll take it.
My focuses apply.
Yeah, your focus applies.
Alrighty.
Give us that moment. I know you got a crit
And
hiding in
it's
there.
just 1 die for the assist, right?
Correct. Hey, there you
Heyo.
go. That is a crit. So, with 4 successes, you go up to 3 momentum. So, Rendak and Minetti, putting your heads together, it's very weird because, and I say weird like that doesn't describe half the things in Star Trek. What you're noticing is that the viral neural gel packs, which are standard on a ship of this size and of this class, the viral neural gel packs across the entire ship have shrunk by about 5%.
Huh. Who put my ship on a diet?
Check the environmental controls. Maybe it's just cold.
A few diagnostics would help us get to the bottom of things.
Mhm.
They shouldn't be that deprived.
5%. That's pretty considerable. The question is what's the rate of decay? We need to figure that out. Or shrinkage. That's what's happening. Is it only the bio gel packs, Gillich?
I was waiting for somebody to ask because now I get to spend threat.
Now!
So,
I mean, yeah.
just because I want to have the right mental image here, how tall is Rendak normally?
I think I got him. I think I treat him like a Ferengi. He's like 5'2", 3. He's small.
You are now 4'8".
What the? Am I the only one that shrank?
At the moment.
I always thought you were a bit taller, Commander Rendak.
Me too. This is the screen's considerably high. What? He tapped his comm badge. Maybe I should go to sick bay or call the doctor because I'm definitely shorter. I know because when I look at these EPS conduits, they're always at this level, and now they're a solid 4 to 6 inches higher. I'm not old enough to start shrinking yet.
Perhaps sick bay is a good idea.
Indeed, I will head to sick bay.
All right.
And I'll just keep, keeping an eye on things there. Wait to hear over the comm badge system whether or not he's gonna be all right.
All right. So we cut to sickbay, and Grok, this is not the first case of somebody shrinking. In fact, this is, Mr. Rendak is probably your 5th patient within the last hour that has come in reporting that they have shrunk in some degree. Now, your nurses are, of course, running scans as your patient sits on biobeds, but as Rendak walks in, Rendak, you've gone down another inch or so.
Oh, I don't know that Rendak notices, but maybe Grok does. Because, 1 inch perspective wise.
Rendak. What? Not you too.
Uh,
All right. Over.
What? You already know what's going on?
I don't know. Please, over there with the rest, we're trying to investigate what's happening.
Doc, I'm not. Listen, far be it from a Ferengi to demand special treatment, but we're having some technical difficulty, so I kind of need to get back in action as soon as I can. But also make sure that I'm not going to turn into a baby.
Yeah,
Because
just over there. I'll be right with you.
okay, sure.
I turn and I give some direction to the rest of my medical team to look after the others. Then I'm going to go directly to Rendak myself and let's see what I can find out.
Okay.
Go
So
full, yeah.
this is going to be a reason medicine. And I'm just once again checking all of your talents here. Well, you have bold medicine, so if you buy at least 1 die with threat, you are able to reroll a die if need be. This isn't a difficulty of 3 or higher, so cutting edge medicine won't help you. And then first response doesn't apply here either. So this is a reason medicine difficulty of 2, and I actually will give you a focus in emergency medicine because shrinking is a little bit of an emergency in this instance.
Okay, yeah. Depending on the speed of the shrink, yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I will spend 1 threat to grab an extra die,
Okay.
and this is pretty important, I think. So I'll spend 2 momentum, so I get 2 extra dice.
Okay, so you'll be rolling 4 total.
And there are no extra complications, right?
Correct.
But I do have focus. Okay.
Okay, well, if you want a crit fish, you can reroll one of those die to try and get more momentum, but you've already passed.
Given last week's number of complications, I'm a little bit shy on that. So I think I'll just leave it as is then.
All right, fair enough. So, Grok, you scan Rendak. You can confirm he has decreased in size by about 6 inches, and it's not just him. You actually start to realize that your biobed's a little bit taller than you remember. So you run the scan on yourself, and lo and behold, you are shrinking as well.
Do I have any idea as to what is causing it?
That is a question that may be vital to this entire mission. So the answer at the moment is no. You have no idea.
Doc, I read once about a situation on Enterprise where they all turned into children. I don't want that. My childhood was not great, man.
Well, you bring up a good point, Rendak. I am going to scan and ensure that we are not changing in physical maturity or anything along those lines. And it's just purely size. I want to eyesight and verify that.
All right. Well, the good news is I can confirm you are not regressing in age. You are literally just physically shrinking. Now, the good news is your uniform also shrinks with you, so it's not going to be like I become a small person and then I'm swimming in my clothes. Like, no, like everything on your person is shrinking, and that actually includes tricorders, comm badges, phasers, whatever you would normally carry on your person is also shrinking with you.
Engineering kit, just put that in there in case I need it.
Yeah. So all of that is shrinking with you. But it's weird that the moment you take something off of your belt that is part of your person, like if you take off a tricorder and put it down, it stops shrinking. So anything that's on your person shrinks with you. Anything you take off stays at whatever size it was when you took it off.
I'm going to immediately get into the files and find out, is there any record of this, or is anything in my recollection, anything like this that's ever been encountered before?
Okay, well, that is another chance for momentum here. That is going to be a insight and medicine, but I think it's the same roll for you. The Babylon will assist you with a computers in medicine. Again, this is a difficulty of 2.
I will throw in 1 threat for you then.
Okay.
And do I have a focus on this one?
I believe you still do, yes.
Okay. Emergency medicine. I'm right.
Okay, so that is 2 successes, no help from the Babylon, close on the Babylon. So, Grok, there is an entry, and it's, of course, from the Enterprise, because when is it not from the Enterprise? But there is mention that there was a outbreak of something called spiroid radiation, and that this is a type of radiation that causes the space between electrons and protons and the nuclei of atoms, like all of that is shrinking, where normally it's very large space in between them in a cosmic sense. But now that's all shrinking, and that's what's causing everything biologic to shrink.
And in the case of the Enterprise, is there any record as to how they managed to adapt to it?
Well, long story short, they did a little bit of fancy flying coupled with a deflector change, and they got out of the area that was causing the spiroid radiation. But the good news is once they removed themselves from the field, all they had to do was apply the exact opposite kind of radiation, and everybody got back to their regular size.
Rendak,
Yes,
come over here.
indeed.
And I'm gonna look what I've found here. The Enterprise.
That's good stuff. He was going to tap this badge. Rendak to Captain Corn and Commander Benetti. Our chief medical officer has discovered that the Enterprise has dealt something like this. We need to immediately begin scanning for is it spiroid?
Spiroid, yeah.
Spiroid radiation in the area. That has caused something similar like before. I'm also going to prepare for worst case scenario situation. I think I would like to. Maybe Rendek's just thinking really far ahead here, and maybe it's more just because he's a Ferengi, so he's always got to have a plan. But I think he wants to set up, using his engineering skills, the ability to like control ship functions from his tricorder in the event that they get so small that they can't reach the computer terminals anymore. Like if something happens.
Jack would know how to help set that up for you.
I was gonna say I like where you're thinking at. So we can handle this one of two ways, and I'll let you decide which it is. You can either spend 1 momentum and 1 threat to create that as a trait, or you can attempt a difficulty 2 daring and engineering roll.
Thoughts, everybody? Would we just do the threat and the momentum and have it set as a trait? Because that would be like a guaranteed kind of situation, or would you guys rather roll for it?
We've only got the 1 momentum.
It's true. We can risk it for the
biscuit.
biscuit.
You really?
My daring's not great, but my engineering's pretty solid. So, yeah, what's the difficulty ELH?
It is a daring engineering difficulty of 2, and you would have a focus.
Oh, which one are you thinking for this?
Starfleet protocols.
Oh, okay, to keep the ship functioning. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I'll roll for it just because I have a focus, and we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Someone can assist me for free, so maybe Menetti from the bridge. Unless Menetti, you want to make the roll? What's your daring like?
My daring is 8, but my engineering ain't great. My main strength comes from being able to sub science for everything, but that costs momentum.
Well, could we? Okay.
Could the ship assist since it's trying to use the ship's sort of interoperability?
Yeah, the ship can assist you with a computers in command.
Would you roll that for me, Corin, since I normally do the ship?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm going to roll.
Well, that's already 4 successes. Well done there.
Dang. Okay.
Nice.
Cool.
Is this one of the rolls where the ship rolls 2 dice for an assist?
No, since this is computers and not sensors, it is just
right.
1 die, and it always has a focus.
Yeah, momentum.
All right, so that is 5 successes, meaning you get back 3 momentum, bringing you up to 4. Well done there. So, Rendak, you are able, working with the Babylon's computer, to set up a failsafe that the tricorder on your person that is miniaturized, that you now have a way to control the ship in the worst case scenario. However, it is at this point that I'm going to spend 2 more threat. That at this point, everybody is shrinking. Doesn't matter if you're in sickbay, doesn't matter where you are on the ship, you are noticeably shrinking.
Well, this is unfortunate. I think the best place for us to be would be on the bridge, right? I mean, there's not really, I think, any microscopic friendly hangout spaces on the ship per se, but what do you guys think?
I mean, we have a few in science lab, but I don't think that's what you were thinking.
Yeah,
No,
I'm
I
not looking
think,
to live in a petri dish.
We'll all crawl into the ant farm.
I think the bridge is probably, at least as far as, making sure we have access to as many control systems as possible. Everyone would want to,
Then I think
at
Rendak
least
will look.
department heads.
Yeah, Rendak will look at the dock and be like, "Hey, Doc, let's head to the bridge before we get too small to get into the turbo lift."
Very well, Rendak.
And also, grab anything you need. It's going to shrink with us.
On the bridge, if we're noticing this shift as well, I would probably inquire of the helmsman. Is that currently Minetti?
I went downstairs to
Okay.
help out Rendak, so I'm probably on my way back up, just like them.
In that case, I will probably just tell the helmsman to move us from our current position. I don't know, 10,000 kilometers or so. Still keep us well within sensor range, but possibly move us away from our exact current location, if that's, maybe an epicenter of whatever we're dealing with.
Yeah, Helm Officer easily is able to do it, though they do note that their fingers are like, Captain, it's getting a little hard to hit these buttons. I have little baby hands now.
Do your best, and we'll finesse it in the logs if we need to.
Very good. And as we skip forward just a little bit of time, by the time the turbolift doors open and Rendak, Grok, and Minetti, by the time you emerge into the bridge, every single biological life form on the ship is now roughly the size of a mouse.
Oh, no.
Can't say I'm a fan.
I'm going to look at the captain. I'm going to inform the captain of the tricorder I have set up to help with ship controls, so that if we can't reach things, we can still utilize the ship.
That's good to hear. Please tell me you have some ideas on how we can reverse this.
Well, the doc here found it's a localized event, so we just got to figure out where it is and get out of here.
That's great.
Now,
Can anyone see the
question.
sensor panel?
I'll hand Minetti the tricorder.
Okay. Question for ELH.
Yes.
Given the fact that Minetti read as many of the spatial anomaly logs as he could before they disembarked, and he's kind of a specialist in this sort of thing, would he have heard about this particular incident or this particular type of radiation, for example?
Yeah, I'll say for that reasoning, you do know everything that Rendak and Grok have found out. It just took you a little bit to recall it is what it is.
Like, as they're describing more and more, Minetti snaps. He says, "Spiroid radiation. We need to both exit the field and then bombard ourselves with the inverse of that radiation. That should fix us right up."
Okay, then I think first thing is we need to determine the limits of the field.
Now, as you say that, of course, I'd like to imagine that you are like in a cluster in that space between the command chair and the con, but it's no longer just a few feet or a few meters. It's now like bigger than a football field, and it doesn't matter if it's American or otherwise. It's big. Like, you have a walk ahead of you if you want to go anywhere, even though you're the size of a mouse. But I have 8 threat, and I've been waiting to do this for a while. So it's at this point that 2 things happen as I spend 2 threat. The first is that a plate in the ceiling falls. Now, it doesn't fall on any of you, thankfully, but it still hits the ground with enough force that the little puff of air is enough to be like a hurricane force wind for some of you. But that's not all, because also dropping out of the ceiling is a Talarian hook spider of unnatural size. Or maybe it's natural size because you're just small. Who knows? Point being, you've got a Talarian hook spider that's now looking at you like you're a meal.
The captain will shout something very, very inappropriate if anyone happens to speak Bajoran. So I guess Dr. Grock would catch it. Something to the effect of, "Holy shit, is that a Tholian?"
See, somebody stepped on the spider's mama, and he's back for revenge.
Well, if it doesn't help your nerves any, Sates, being the tactical officer, does go to pull out her phaser, realizes her phaser is miniature, and says, "Sir, I think we're fighting Godzilla, but in spider form."
I don't know what Godzilla is, but permission granted to increase the setting on that phaser. I don't like spiders.
Understood, sir. And now we enter into personal combat with everybody this time, not just Rendak. So,
I'll be hiding in the back if you need me.
as a reminder, the way combat works for when it's personal combat is the players go first, can also be an ally or an NPC, then the enemy goes, and we just bounce back and forth. And since it is the player's turn, you all can go. You can decide who amongst you goes. Could be Satas, could be Manetti, could be Grok. Probably not Rendak, could be the captain. You understand what I'm saying, I hope.
Manetti will go last, and he'll give a look to the other bridge officers, basically like, keep it occupied, and I'm gonna try and run for it. Try and make it to the other side, and hopefully get access to what we need.
Run fast.
Okay, well, Grok is going to, if nobody else is doing anything, he's going to react quickly. He's going to rush right at it, try and attract its attention, and then cut off the opposite direction to where Manetti's running.
I like it. Why don't you give me a... would this be daring or would this be presence? Why don't we make it a presence for you? A presence and security. And the difficulty on this will be a 2. Now, unfortunately, I don't think you have a focus here. Oh, and chat just gave me threat. Thank you, chat. I'll take that threat.
Thought we had a good thing going, chat.
Okay, I am going to use 3 momentum, if I could be so kind.
Okay.
But the objective is to distract it and pull it in a completely different direction. That's what I'm attempting to do here.
Okay.
I do have a focus of hand-to-hand combat, but I'm not sure whether this is hand-to-hand combat because I'm not intending to actually grapple with it. It's more a case of try to be bait.
Right, yeah, I was going to say, if you were attacking it outright, I would say hand-to-hand would apply, but since you're trying to be bait, not so much.
Okay. Then I'm also going to, I think I'll use determination if I could.
Okay.
I'm going to use always find ways to be useful.
Okay.
And with that, I'm going to save it for re-rolling my dice. I can re-roll all my dice with it.
Yeah.
determination.
So you don't actually have to mark it off now. You can wait to see the result of the roll, and then you can spend the determination if you want.
Okay.
And yeah, since I did spend more than 3 threat, Mr. Corin, I believe you do get determination. So congratulations.
Excellent.
Sorry, so it's 4 dice, no focus,
Correct.
right?
Well, there you go. You
Nice.
get 2 momentum right back. So, Grok, you run forward. I don't know, would you wave your hands? Would you pull out a little phaser and just shoot in wild directions? And like, what does it look like as you get this Tolarian hook spider's attention?
Well, I'm not carrying a phaser typically. So I would say I just rush straight at it, get within well a few inches, I guess, and then I'll jump up and down a couple of times, yell as loudly as I can when I'm only 2 inches tall, and then hopefully attract the attention of its 107 eyes and dart off in the other direction to Manetti.
Okay. So the good news is that since you succeeded, yes, you have the attention of the Tolarian hook spider. The bad news is that you have the attention of a Tolarian hook spider, and it is much larger than you are. So it is going to attempt to ensnare you and maybe start eating you. So you really want to pass this roll, but I'll roll first. I'll just give it 1 threat to make things interesting. It's only rolling 3 dice. That's a 37. Okay, let's expand out that 37. That is a 6, an 18, and a 13. So it just got 1 success here. So all you need to do to not get spidered is get 2 successes on a daring security. And hand-to-hand combat would definitely apply here.
Okay. I need 2 successes though, right? So
Correct.
now I will use my determination to get another die if I could.
So as a reminder, the determination turns your first die into a 1. It doesn't actually add die. It just turns your dice into a 1, so 2 free successes to start with.
Sorry. Using determination, focus.
Okay, so good thing you spent determination, so you still get the 2 successes. And yeah, the good news is that you not only are able to avoid the gnashing I think they're called pedipalps is what they're called. Either way, the spider comes down trying to ensnare you. You dodge out of the way. And what I will tell you is if you wish to counterattack, you can spend 2 momentum or 2 threat to immediately inflict an injury on the Tolarian hook spider.
Ooh.
I'll spend 2 momentum.
Okay. So since it is a Tolarian hook spider and therefore is unable to spend its own personal threat to stay up, what does it look like when you incapacitate this spider? What does it look like?
Wow. Okay. Incapacitated. Now I'm trying to envision how you never really clearly defined how large is it relative to me. I know I'm very small, but how large is it?
So my understanding of Tolarian hook spiders is they are about the size of a camel spider, is at least my understanding. And if you don't know what a camel spider is, don't look it up. It's horrifying. For you, it is, if you're 2 inches, it's probably about 1.5 feet, if I had to use imperial units. Now, if you want metric units, somewhere in the neighborhood of 400 centimeters. More? No, that's too much.
No,
God,
it's okay. I don't need metric. I could work in metric, but I don't need it.
Okay, yeah.
So-
Let's. My brain is not braining today, as you can probably tell.
Oh, these things happen. Okay, so then, yeah, Grok turns and starts to dart off in one direction. Realizes the thing is getting extremely close to him. So again, he stops, darts in underneath the creature, clambers up one of its legs from the inside as it's getting confused, and then he clambers on top of it and he drives a foot through its one of the I guess one of the largest eyes that he can find, and his foot sinks through the soft, gushy eyeball and goes deep enough into it to actually find whatever it has as a brain in there.
Okay. So, there's a spray of some liquid that I'm not going to describe, but Spider goes down, and you have solved the combat encounter. So all of you are out of combat at this point.
Remind me to not get on your bad side, Doc.
Excellent work, Dr. Grok.
The good grok giveth, and the good grok taketh away.
Mr. Rendak, when this is all over, I want extermination sweeps of all decks, including all Jeffrey's tubes. Understood?
Reasonable.
Why was it that thing being affected?
Good question. It's biological.
I'm going to, if I might, now that this thing is out of order, I'm going to examine it and see if I can determine exactly why is this not being affected when we were.
All right. Go ahead and give me a reason medicine. You will have a focus in xenobiology. However, I am going to tell you this is going to be difficult, specifically a difficulty of 4.
Oof.
Okay. Difficulty of 4. Yuck. Okay. Well, may I spend some threat, guys? I'll use 1 momentum and 2 threat to have 2 extra dice. Good with that?
Worse with me.
Sounds good.
Okay. So, and because I spent threat, I can re-roll one of them. So.
Correct. Well, you'll definitely want to reroll that 20.
You know which one I'm going to re-roll. Yeah.
Okay. So
Ouch.
unfortunately, we're at a state where it was a difficulty of 4. You only have 1 success. So your option is either to challenge a value to get determination, or the captain can give you their determination, because that's the captain ability. But if you don't spend determination here, it's too far off the mark for me to offer you success with complication.
Honestly, I don't see any. I don't have a value that I can see if an effective way to swing it into being part of this.
Well, if it does help, you also can use the ship's mission directives as values.
So that would allow us to re-roll all the dice.
Correct. Well, except for the one you just re-rolled, because you can only re-roll a dice once.
Okay, so re-roll 3 more dice.
Mm-hmm.
I will go ahead and lend him that that determination.
Okay. Well, I see a trend. All right.
Oh no.
So, Doc, I think you scan with your tricorder, and your tricorder is not able to give you a definitive answer. And unfortunately, the complication is going to be that your tricorder literally stops working because it's too small.
Right. I'm just shaking my head. I am at a loss, Captain. I apologize. I cannot understand what's going on here. Why is it different?
For right now, what we need to do is get out of this region entirely. Mr. Rendak, please tell me that tricorder of yours can access hull controls, or helm controls, excuse me.
Well, that was the idea, Captain, as it was designed to kind of handle any of the necessary command inputs we needed in case we ended up the size we are. He most recently handed it off to Minetti.
How far can we get at a, let's say, warp 1 burst, 5 seconds? And I don't actually need a
Yeah, Minetti would
specific
rattle off a
answer to
number
that.
from memory.
Unless this field is a lot bigger than we have any idea of, hopefully that'll be sufficient. And then we can worry about getting ourselves back to a normal size, and then we can try to investigate once we're all able to reach our chairs again.
I don't know, I quite like being this size. It gives you a new perspective on things. For example, you're still ugly as hell. And as I imagine you all just look at him like, the hell, Exo, the hell.
No, Rendek looks back and is like, took you long enough to lose those pounds there, biggin.
And as Mr. Conrad begins being a Tellarite, Minetti, if you would care to give me a control and a con, the Babylon will assist you with an engine's con. This is a difficulty of 1.
Okay.
Here come the 3 complications.
Okay. You said control and con?
Yep.
So for future reference, would this sort of task apply for visit every star? If I succeed.
Take a look. Visit every star. What does it say? Whenever you do. Yes, it would. Just remember that bonus momentum cannot be saved, so it's kind of one of those use it or lose it situations.
It obtains some information with it, though.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then if somebody can get Engine's Con from the Babylon...
Oh, yes, my bad. It's my job. I'm failing.
Okay, so just the 1 success. Man, the dice are being really mean again. So, Minetti...
It's anomalous.
Yeah, it's an anomaly. Minetti, you using the tricorder, you have the Babylon do a quick warp 1 burst away. And you do execute that. The ship does move a significant distance. But unfortunately, as I spend another 2 threat, you keep shrinking.
Minetti, use the tricorder to use the sensors on the ship to scan for the origin of that radiation. If we're still getting smaller, it's got to be on the ship.
Yeah, it has to be either on the ship or moving with us.
Well, you could use that bonus momentum to ask the question.
Great idea.
Would it be located anywhere on the ship?
I can tell you exactly
where
it is. Yes, I can tell you exactly where it is. Remember your Vulcan ambassador, Ambassador Teriv? Yep. It's in her quarters.
That's a long way from here.
Yep, and if that wasn't bad enough, I'm going to say she's on deck 3. So you're on deck 1, and there's no way in hell you're getting a turbo lift to work, so have fun with that.
We could try and hijack the transporter, but I'm not sure that's the smartest idea.
Transporters haven't been working, I thought you said.
Yeah, they are down. So looks like we're going on an adventure through the Jeffries tubes or something.
Can you get us a map of the most direct route?
I mean, I've got it. What are you talking about? A map? I know exactly where to need to go. I am the map.
All right. After Lieutenant Commander Rendak.
That being said, I do have an idea. ELH Rendak looks at the others. Give me a moment. And he's going to go over to a nearby. Like he's going to look for a small panel somewhere, and he wants to. I want to phaser. He's going to be like, everybody's hide around a corner, get out of the way. I want to phaser the whatever, like the screws, or whatever holds them on to get it open. because otherwise there's nobody to get it open. And the plan is I want to get in there and see if I can find some sort of really small fiber. I still have my engineering kit that shrunk with me to cut loose to make rope out of, so that if we need to, like, what's the term? What's it called where you jump down something with rope? I don't remember.
Rappel?
Yeah. So if we need to rappel down to the third deck, we have like some form of rope to do so.
Okay. I like this. Go ahead and give me a control and a security. Difficulty of 2. However, because the phaser is a small size, I will say that the complication range is an 18 to 20. But hey, I have good news. Chad has given you momentum, so you're up to 2.
That's what kind of roll is that?
Control and a security.
Oh, I have 1 security. That's real bad for me. Ooh. Can I relay my plan and someone else make that roll?
Yeah,
relay
if
your
somebody
plan?
else.
The captain would have a pretty good shot at that.
Well, the Ferengi will explain to you all his thoughts on how we should get down to deck 3, and what you decide to do from there is fine, because he is not daring, or I say security minded.
I'm at a 14 for control security. I don't know about y'all.
As am I. Oh, control security. That would put me at a 13. So, yeah, if Mr. Minetti wants to go ahead and take the lead on that, and then the captain will assist him in trying to get this thing open relatively safely.
All right.
I mean, surely you're not going to roll another complication. Surely.
What?
Is there any chance an athletics focus would apply?
If you phaser the thing open and then manage to move it, yes, but this is just the act of phasering the screws so that you can actually get it open in the first place.
Okay.
Are you guys all right with me spending 2 momentum to switch to science? That'll give me 16.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. What's the
All
difficulty, ELH?
It's a 2.
2? Yeah.
All right, so I will spend the 2 momentum. I'm assuming my focus of composure would help in this instance.
Yeah, I'd give it to you.
Steady hands.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
well,
no.
I can offer you a success with a complication.
Oh.
Actually, it is just a success, because with the captain's assist, that is 3 successes with difficulty 2, so you get a momentum, but there is a complication, unfortunately.
Dang it.
Okie dokie.
So,
Manetti's losing some fingers.
On a scale of 1 to 5, how evil do you want me to be?
-4.
Well, -4 is not an option, unfortunately.
Whatever floats your boat.
All right,
Let's
so
go
here's
for
what
3.
happens. Here's what happens.
3's a good number.
3's a good number. All right. So, Minetti, you and the captain start phasering the little screws or the little latches that hold this plating that will have ODN lines behind it that you can use as fiber optic cabling, ropes of some kind. But you misjudge the distance, and what happens is once the latches or the screws pop free because they've been phasered, the panel begins to fall. And what happens is your good old XO sees this coming, bum rushes the captain, and knocks the both of you out of the way as the panel falls on Commander Conrad. And he doesn't get squished, but he is definitely crunched from the waist down. And as he's sitting there, half in, half out of the panel, he looks at you, Captain, and says, "You owe me one. I want to be very clear on this. You owe me one. Doc, please tell me I'm going to walk again. I really, really don't want to walk with a cane. That was my father's thing, and I hated it."
Well, first of all, let's get him out. I'm making sure everybody's helping me. Let's get him out from underneath. He's still trapped under it.
Oh yeah, he's still trapped.
Okay.
Minetti will start trying to lift it.
All right, so Again, you're probably going to want to optimize who's doing the main role and who's assisting, and if you want to have extra assists. But this is definitely a fitness and a security here.
Probably Captain, right? Because you got athletics.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm only at 12.
yeah,
I
I
would
would be 13 there.
A 14. I have 11 fitness.
Heck yeah. Got that Klingon strength.
Well, how about you two? You help the doc lift it up. I'll pull him out.
Sounds good. Is this standard complication range or?
Yeah, standard 20.
Okay.
To comfort the XO, Rendek will kneel down and be like, "It's a good thing your legs are so short. There wasn't much to hit."
Nice.
Yeah, but maybe the captain should lead on this, and I should help because you have an athletics focus, right? Does that?
Yes.
I don't have a focus that would help in this.
I'm sorry, what was the difficulty?
It is a difficulty of 2.
Difficulty of 2. I will go ahead and spend momentum for 1 extra die.
Okay.
And see where we go.
Wow,
Oh,
that
wow.
is-
Hell yes!
Wow.
Hell yes!
So that is 7 successes. So you go from 0 momentum all the way up to 5. Well done there. And yeah, with that many successes, I think working together, you lift the panel. Minetti or Rendak, I forget who was pulling the XO out, but you pull him out just fine. And with that many successes, I think it's just something where, Conray's going to be a little bit sore, but he'll be able to walk, no problem. He just got a little bit smooshed.
I think under the circumstances, Commander, I owe you half a 1 at best.
Is that a short joke? Because I've had it up to here with you.
Up to where?
No, that's the joke. That we're small and that up to... Why am I explaining this? Of course a Bajoran doesn't get humor. Of course.
Anyway, let's work on getting down to Deck 3.
All right. So since all of this was to get enough ODN line to have fiber optic cabling ropes, you have an arbitrary amount, though just for sake of sanity, I'm going to say that you have like the D&D equivalent of like 50 feet of rope between each of you. But remember, that's shrunk. So what you think is 50 feet is different than actual 50 feet, if you follow what I'm saying. So my next question is going to be, how do you get into the Jeffries tubes? Because the Jeffries tubes are behind another panel, and they're also latched. So are you phasering them open again? Are you working together to pull it off? What does that look like exactly?
I don't know that we have a choice with the transporter. This is over the board talk, like strategizing. I don't know that we have a choice with the transporter staff other than to go that way, unless somebody else has an idea.
I mean, unless there is a tiny shuttlecraft we can get in and, pilot around the ship. I'm not sure what other choice we have.
You bring up an interesting point, Captain. The transporters are down in the main ship. Are they also down in our shuttles? Because if we can hijack one of the shuttle transporters, that would make our lives a whole lot easier.
Well, I think I know the answer over the board, but I'll let ALH answer before Rendek responds.
Whoever feels lucky, roll me a d20 / roll space 1d20 in Foundry chat. If it is 10 or lower, yes, you can use the shuttle transporters. If it is 11 or higher, the answer is no.
I'm gonna let Corn roll that. He got all them successes.
Congratulations, you can use the shuttle transporter.
Woo!
Okay.
Remote in.
Now here's the problem, is that this is a non-standard transport, and transporting is one of the most complicated things in the system, even in 2nd edition. Now, of course, I might be misremembering the 2nd edition rules, but I'm pretty sure I remember most of them. So, the base difficulty starts at a 2. It is a control engineering. The target is not a transporter pad, so that goes up a difficulty. You are not on a transporter pad. That goes up another difficulty. The fact that this radiation is in effect increases the complication range. So overall, you are looking at a difficulty of 4 at a complication range of 16 to 20.
Well, it's that or we trek through the tubes and potentially fall to our death. So
That was generally my thinking. As much as I'm a fan of parachuting in the holodeck, I would much rather
sorry, I'm reading.
not fall to my death.
That's
So above board, if it's control engineering, and I spend 3 momentum, I will have a 16, and I always have an applicable focus when it comes to using that particular ability.
May I use the follow my lead ability?
Yeah.
And so he will assist. He will count as having assistance from me with a 1.
Okay.
Can I use some positive reinforcement here?
Sure.
So I'll use this on. I will use this on Rendax since he's the one who's going to be doing this.
Well, I can. It'll be so. So here's the before we spend the momentum. Here's the balance. Like Manetti has to spend 2 momentum to get 16. I start at a 15, and I could spend momentum for more d20. It's also an option. Now
That is true.
The struggle though is I don't have a focus like Manetti does, but I do have a point of determination, and I would 100% argue that technology is simpler than people. Like people problem solving is not great for Rendak, but when it comes to technology, he's great at it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think yours probably fits better, and it's a little cheaper.
All right. So let's do this in order of operation here. Grok, if you want to roll the Presence Medicine at a difficulty of 3 while you are positively reinforcing Rendak, then we will resolve Rendak's roll, which includes the Captain's Assist.
You need all the momentum, guys, or can I spend? No, I'm going to throw in 1 threat.
No, you can spend a momentum. I think go ahead and spend a momentum because I'm burning determination, and with follow my lead, we're basically got it in the bag as long as we don't roll a ton of complication.
Okay, and I will throw in 1 momentum then.
Well, keep in mind that if you are trying to trigger bold medicine, it does have to be at least 1 with threat.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, let's go with the bold medicine because then I get a reroll. Let's do that. And I don't know that I have a focus in this one, though. So 3 dice.
And you get it. Good job. So, Rendak, you are able, for the rest of the mission, if you need to reroll your dice, you can.
Okay. This complication range is 16 to 20, you said.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. I can spend 2 momentum to establish a trait, right?
You can.
I was wondering if, establish it. So can that be for our own characters as well?
Yeah.
Okay. If I spent 2 momentum to establish the trait, I know my ship and I know my ship systems, including the shuttlecraft, would that reduce the complication range?
Normally, I would say yes. However, the issue isn't so much knowing the technology that's the issue. It's the fact that the spiroid radiation is is causing the issue at this point.
It's worth a shot. I am still going to use determination. I'm going to buy. We've already got 2 successes. I'm going to buy.
Well, technically, you have 4 because the captain's already rolled a 1. So
I'm also going to be rolling a 1. I don't technically have to buy any. And we'll succeed. It's just if we want to try to build more momentum, which we don't need to. So yeah, I'll just roll 2 then, since I'm using a determination. I can re-roll my dice pool, though.
You can re-roll the 20 thanks to Grok. Yes, you can.
All right, I will do that.
Now again, it's 1 in 400 odds to roll another 20. Okay,
Ooh.
well, it's not a 20, it's a 12. All right. So, Rendak, you take the tricorder back from Minetti. You punch in the command codes for the shuttle. The captain provides his command codes for the shuttle. And you beam, I'm presuming, to the ambassador's quarters?
That is correct.
Okay.
Preferably like wherever her signature might be, like her health signature, as small as it is.
Got it. So, all of you dematerialize. You rematerialize in the VIP suite. And 3 things are immediately apparent and troubling. The first is that the ambassador is slowly being chased by a tribble, so have fun with that. And of course, with your relative size, the tribble is, about the size of a grizzly bear or perhaps an elephant at this point. But that's problem 1. Problem 2 is that there is a strange purple crystal on her nightstand that a cursory tricorder scan would reveal as the source of the spiroid radiation. Problem number 3 is that, and I'm going to spend threat so it's fair, when you check your phasers, your phaser power supplies are all kaput at this point.
So we can't phaser either the tribble or the crystal.
Correct. At least not with the phasers you have on your person.
If the transporters are still working, we could potentially try to transport the crystal elsewhere.
All 4 of us transported, is that correct?
That is correct.
So we're all in the...
And I'd like to imagine that you're on that sort of like, not living room table, but like that table next to the couch, and then the ambassador's on the floor running away from the gigantic tribble. And I think also, because we do have a Klingon in the group, Grok, tribbles and Klingons are, even though you don't maybe know the history of the Klingon Empire and the tribbles, you are mortal enemies, and the tribble is not happy. In fact, the tribble... I will spend 2 threat to do this. The tribble's going to stop chasing the ambassador and is immediately going to try and leap at Grok.
Oh no!
So
I'm
Grok,
shivering in fear.
Yeah, Grok, I'm going to be rolling first so that you know what your daring security is to beat. Because it's funny, I will spend 1 threat to allow them to roll 3 dice. Okay, let's expand out that 23. They have rolled 2 successes, so you need to get me 3 successes on this, and then if you want, you can counterattack. But I need to see 3 successes on a daring security first.
Okay, I'm going to steal 1 momentum, guys.
You get it right back.
Hey.
Now, as a reminder, if you want to counterattack the tribble, again, it's a tribble. It is not a major enemy. So you just spend 2 momentum, and you tell me how you incapacitate a tribble.
I don't know how to incapacitate a tribble.
The soft forebrain. The soft forebrain.
Punch it directly in the nose. No, wait, that's a shark.
Exactly. I can't punch it anyway. I'm going to get a hold of it with that sort of furry mess that's there, and I'm just going to drag it. I'm trying to think what would be on the floor in a Vulcan's cabin that I can dump it into. I'm going to haul it towards the head, towards the washroom, and see if I can get it into the toilet.
Oh my god!
Close.
So I just want to further paint the scene that we have this screaming tribble that is making the biggest obnoxious racket as Grok is dragging it towards the bathroom. The ambassador is like looking at this like, what in the world? This is totally illogical. And Grok, you are able to throw the tribble into the waste receptacle, and the tribble is going to disappear, to put it nicely.
I hate tribbles.
I believe
Certainly
the
seems you
feeling is
showed us as
mutual.
much.
The captain is going to attempt to tend to the ambassador, inquiring if she's okay, and apologizing profusely for whatever is going on here, despite the fact that it's clearly coming from her quarters. She's an ambassador. You apologize.
Right. So you go to Terev. Terev is kind of holding her arm, and she goes, "Oh, thank goodness you came. My emotional support tribble suddenly turned on me when I got this size. I think it thought I was food, but I guess now I need a new emotional support tribble."
I think that's going to be an issue a little further down the line, Ambassador.
Is that a
That-
size joke, Captain?
It wasn't intended as such, madam.
In any case, why are we this small?
We're not sure, but we believe it has something to do with spiroid radiation coming from that purple crystal on your desk there.
That crystal? I mean, are you sure? Because I acquired that crystal from a reputable Ferengi dealer.
Ambassador, I'd like you to repeat those 3 words slowly and think about them.
I now see
You
the
got
logic in
swindled.
your words.
Mr. Rendak, no offense intended.
Oh, none taken. I'm proud. He took her to town. Took her live them. Well done.
We can't destroy that crystal with our weapons. Can we beam it off the ship?
Out of character, the answer is no. However, the ambassador, hearing that you don't have any weapons, says, "Well, I mean, as an ambassador, I am equipped with a phaser, but it's up there." And she points at the nightstand where the crystal is, and there is a normal-sized phaser that you could use, but you're going to have to describe how you're using it as these tiny little people.
Type 1 or Type 2? This is
Type
relevant.
1.
Ooh, that's a better size for us.
Okay. We can get up there, position it just right, and then one of us just has to jump on the trigger.
Well, if everyone else holds the phaser pointed at the crystal, then maybe I can push the trigger. But we have
Sounds
to make
like a
sure
plan.
that it's stable, because otherwise, if I just push it and it moves, then it's going to be firing everywhere else. It's going to be spinning on that.
Well, I mean, it's a phaser. There's no action-reaction. There's no recoil.
Yeah, but it won't have enough weight if I just push it in one direction. For me to compress the trigger, it'll push the phaser across the surface. If I'm just pushing, so everybody else is going to have to hold it in place because
I
it'll
think we can do
react to
that.
my pushing.
Especially if the ambassador will assist us. Vulcan strength should be an advantage.
I know not how much it will be of an effect at this size, but of course. But how are we going to get up there?
Rope.
Does anyone know any climbing songs? That was a rhetorical question. Don't worry about it.
Out of character, I appreciate the reference, but if you start singing Farajaka, I will smite you. All right, so here's how we'll break this down. The initial sort of like grapple hook, like ensnare, so that you can sort of pull yourself up on the side of the nightstand. That is going to be a control security at a difficulty of 3. But what I will tell you is that once you have hooked the implement, anybody who wishes to scale the nightstand must pass a fitness and con at a difficulty of 2. If you fail or roll a complication, there is a chance of falling. So, with that in mind, have at it. Tell me how you're approaching it, who's going first, etc., etc. Just keep in mind that if this is the same sort of nightstand we see in all the shows, there aren't exactly footholds. There aren't exactly things for you to grab onto because it's a smooth sort of side. So the only thing you have to go up and down is that ODN line that you hopefully will secure here in a moment.
So the first question is, who's going to toss the line and try to secure it.
Ah,
That was a control security.
Control
So that would
security,
be a
difficulty of
13 for
3.
me. But I do have an athletics focus, which I presume would apply.
It would.
I think you're our best option. Maybe you were the doc.
well, Rendak would communicate he is not good for any of this. He fixes things.
And I am out of determination, so I am going to spend... What was the difficulty on the control security?
A 3. Just keep in mind that anybody scaling the rope that you hopefully secure is a difficulty of 2, so might want to save some momentum and threat.
That's true. I'm going to go ahead and toss you 1 threat for 1 extra die.
Okay.
Standard complication range.
Yep, still a 20.
Okay. And the profits deny.
So, Captain, you do that thing where you sort of swing one end around and in sort of a lasso fashion, you throw it, it goes up, it doesn't even make it halfway, it just comes right back down.
I'm more of a batter in baseball than a pitcher. Someone else want to give it a shot?
Well, because I have 4 threat, I'm spending 2 of it that you get even smaller. And now it's a difficulty of 4.
What if we were to try and climb? What would I'm assuming be even harder? But what would it be if we were just to try and climb without getting the rope fixed?
Well, that's the thing, because like I said, it is a smooth surface, and it doesn't exactly have footholds. Though, now that I think about it, ants are able to climb up surfaces like that because there actually are, like, little footholds that it can launch onto. So I would say, actually, me spending that threat to make it harder for you to get the rope up to the top actually makes it easier for you to climb freehand. So now it's just a difficulty of 1 fitness con to just freehand your way up.
I'll do that.
Yeah, I'll attempt that as well.
All right. And just because I want to make sure Rendak's plan, Rendak, everybody is tied to one another.
What?
Your rope that you got. You're doing the D&D thing of everybody is tied to one another, so if somebody falls when you climb, he doesn't go splat.
Yeah, over the board, Rendak has no intention of climbing, though.
Oh, okay then.
He is... Listen, I am at best he is at best rolling a solid, like, 8 here or something. he that's why I said earlier, like, he's like, guys, I'm not good at this. Like, I'll be down here supporting you, cheering you on.
Pulls out miniature pom-poms, you know.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
I've been thinking, so is the tricorder that we have access to the ship through still operational, or is it too small now?
It's still working, though you might want to make sure you don't shrink again.
Minetti, as he starts to climb, like he'll be the last one up, he looks back to Rendak and he says, I don't know if you'll be able to on that little thing, but if you can, perhaps bombarding this deck with anti-spiroid radiation might give us more time or slow the process down.
And try.
All right. Well, anybody who's climbing, fitness con, difficulty of 1.
Now, question, is this the same scene or is this a different scene?
Same scene.
Damn it.
So Grok is good. Grok is able to get all the way up, no issue.
I ain't even climbing and I'm nervous.
Captain gets up there, no problem, even gives you a point of momentum. Same thing with Minetti, so you're up to 5 momentum overall. Well done. So, the 3 of you manage to scale your way up the nightstand. Takes you about, 10 minutes to scale it at the relative size you are, but you are able to get up there, no problem. Now comes the difficult part, because the Type 1 phaser is about the size of... what can I use as an example here? About the size of a very large television. Like, we're talking 60 inches or 70 inches. So it is something you could maneuver and push buttons on. It's just going to be a little bit difficult.
Well, we either make it work or, well, there's really no or. We have to make it work.
Understood, sir.
Put your backs into it, and let's get back to our normal size, please.
All right. So, Chad has redeemed a complication. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be a little bit nice, and I'm going to say that no roll required. You have enough strength and enough time to get the phaser pointed in the correct direction. However, one of you, I'll leave it to your imagination who actually notices this, the Type 1 phaser is currently not working. It needs to be repaired, as in it is a defunct phaser Type 1. The power supply is still good, but it is currently not operational.
And our engineer is on the ground.
On the ground. Mm-hmm.
If he's worried about climbing, we could pull him up.
He is, in fact, worried about climbing.
Mr. Rendak, I'm afraid we have need of you up here.
All right, then.
Tie yourself up real securely.
Yeah.
Do we have enough of that cable to get down from, or we didn't bring it up with us? I just want to understand where.
No, it came with you. It came with you.
Yeah.
Okay, so then if we lower it down to him,
Mm-hmm.
we should be able to pull him up. He's the
Yeah.
smallest of the bunch of us. The captain's
I love
pretty
this
physical.
visual of y'all babysitting the Ferengi.
All right. So, because that is a funny mental image, I'm not even going to have you roll for it because it's funny. So, Rendak ties himself off. The three of you, end over end, heave ho, you pull him up. And eventually, Rendak, as you are just dangling from the rope by the waist, you eventually come over the edge of the nightstand. And you're now with everybody else. Congratulations.
He dusts himself off to try to maintain some level of dignity.
I'm
All right,
afraid we
sorry.
need your expertise in repairing this phaser.
Good thing I brought my engineering kit. That being said, sorry. Listen, passing the physical side of the exams was not great for me at Starfleet Academy. And he wanders over to the phaser to see what's wrong with it.
Okay. Well, this is a reason in engineering, difficulty of 1.
Oh, okay. DDoS it / maintenance /
A lot of
I'm
things would
preparing
apply as
something.
a focus, yeah.
Yeah. If it's a difficulty 1, I'm not gonna. Should I buy a momentum or not even worry about it? You think? I'm not gonna worry about it.
I mean, I think we're maxed out. If you wanted, oh Jesus,
We are now.
So
I know exactly what's wrong with this phaser.
Not only are you maxed out, but you have 2 floating momentum, which you're probably going to want to spend to immediately repair the phaser. As I tell you, that it's just like a little wire that needs to be rerouted. Like, you take wire from point A to point B, and you fix it. And if you want to spend the 2 momentum, you can just instantly do that.
I would spend the two bonus momentum to fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that. I keep wanting to do it. Can I spend 2 more momentum to establish a trait?
Sure. What do you want to do?
I want to ensure the trait stabilized power so that it is able to fire and actually disintegrate that rock.
Okay. The trait has been made. Of course, now comes the difficult thing of pushing the button with enough force to fire the phaser. And I believe, Mr. Grok, that is your prerogative.
So this is fitness security?
Fitness security, difficulty of 3.
Hope you ate your Wheaties today.
I'm going to spend 3 momentum, guys. Is that good?
Do it.
do it.
When he's
If you
trying to
need an
collect.
assist, let us know.
Cross our fingers, and everybody duck because complications come, right?
Yeah.
That looks like 5
Nice.
successes to me, so you get 2
Dang.
momentum back.
Rock's
And
on
yeah.
fire tonight.
You either kick, jump, or punch the appropriate button on the little badge type phaser 1. It fires out a beam, strikes the purple crystal, instantly disintegrates it, and not a moment too soon, because you were starting to shrink once more, but since the crystal is gone, you do not shrink, and in fact, everything stabilizes. You actually now, your holographic crew are working, your transporters are working, everything is working. You're just about like less than an inch high right now.
If we recall, they said they naturally return to their shape over time, right? On the Enterprise logs.
Mm-hmm. But
So
if
now
you
we just
wanted
gotta
to
wait it
speed it
out.
up, you just bombard yourself with anti-spiroid.
We can do that.
So now that the holographic crew are back online, are they full size?
Oh yeah. And in fact, because I find it funny, and because I want to introduce the NPC we made a joke of, Senior Chief Jim appears. May or may not look like a certain Captain America, but is a Trill. But he materializes and says, "My lord, you all are small."
Yes, that's kind of the problem. Would you mind getting us off this nightstand and back to the bridge?
Of course, sir. This is going to be a very interesting report to hear, to read, I'm sure.
It'll be an interesting one to write.
Very good. All right, well, and he kind of holds out his hand. I guess everybody ended the palm of my hand.
Shakily step on him.
Yep. Climb on.
And as they're on their way out, Manetti begins explaining to the hologram the specifics of the deflector dish configuration to sweep the whole ship in that anti-spiroid.
Okay. So, I have 2 threat remaining. So here's what's going to happen. Is Jim does take you to the bridge. He is able to sweep the ship with anti-spiroid radiation. However, one person is not going to return to their same size that they started at. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll a 6-sided dice. Captain, you are number 1. Minetti, you are number 2. Grok, you are number 3. Rendak, you are number 4. Conra is number 5. And Sates is number 6. Anybody want to take a bet before I roll?
I'm kind of hoping it's Conra for comedic effect, but
As am I.
I mean, if we need anybody to leap on the grenade, Manetti will do it, just because he'll be fascinated that it didn't work.
Well, would you look at
Got
that? Conra is our lucky winner.
oh no, it's gonna be hard to do surgery on his leg.
No.
So
Microsurgery.
everybody else has to go through the vertigo-inducing, like, oh, I'm getting bigger. Oh, everything's taller. Oh, God, everything's big again. And there's that moment of wooziness, but you are back to your normal size. Unfortunately for Conra, he is half the man he used to be. And as he is still laying there on the bridge next to the corpse of the Talarian hook spider, he's just like, why do I get the feeling I'm going to be the butt of many short jokes in the future?
Because you were already the butt of many short jokes in the past, Commander.
Okay, yes, I realize that's a tautology, but whatever, fine. Just fix my legs so that I can walk off and storm off and be angry. And I think that is a perfect moment to end today's session.
The captain will point out, that little excursion did remind me. James T. Kirk had a wonderful holodeck program about mountain climbing at El Capitan on Earth. Would anyone be interested in joining me?
Oh, Lord.
Sounds like fun.
Captain, as much as I'd like to, I think I'm booked in another holosuite.
You're
Yeah,
lost.
I gotta exterminate some pests.
Hey, but it sounds like you at least got Grok, so that's exciting.
But what a like normal like corporate setting, like, hey, let's do some team building. Eh.
I will say, Grok and the captain went absolutely ham this session.
Yeah. I poor Grok, right? He's designed to be like raised by Bajorans and not very Klingon, but like every like Klingon potential task, like fighting or something, he just rolled like a ton of successes. It was hilarious.
Mhm.
Bless it.
It's in his nature.
I love it. All right, well, Twitch, stick around because we're going to raid somebody, but YouTube, this is where we say goodbye. Bye-bye, YouTube.